Okay, here we are in the shop. We're trying to capture the status of a build that's going on here, which is a queen-size bed. Been meaning to fashion one of these for years, at Jess's insistence, and finally got around to doing it here. It took a bit of a break around Christmas to work on Jesse's pantry, but now I'm back at it, and it's coming together. It's almost done. One of the things that stopped me was the lack of a decent plan. I couldn't settle on a design. So I ended up actually Fine Woodworking. This is April 2017, this article by Kevin Rodel. It's an arts and crafts pattern, closely patterned after Gustav Stickley's, quarter sawn oak patterns. The difference being, you can see the Stickley is open slats. Here we have instead flat panels embedded into rails. This is mostly black cherry from our own lands, a mixture of the Kenduskeag woodlot and Wicopy Woods. Let's see, the panels, wood-wise, are mostly butternut from a tree that was felled right down our backyard here, right in town, Orono. The center panel is probably the most interesting part of this. This is actually a book-matched cherry burl, 4 slices. You can sort of see the pattern in the center there. Again, cut when we harvested my Kenduskeag lot in 2001. There were some cherry trees that had nice burls on them, including one board, this bottom rail in this bed. Notice this. This is just a one-off. This is why you saw your own wood. The bottom rail here actually is probably cut from the same tree right in the board. This is a 5/4 by 8-inch board. There's been sitting around looking for its proper use, has the burl figure right embedded in the wood. I had to epoxy this a little bit, get it to stabilize, sand it over it. So very cool. You can see where I plugged a couple of defects there, but no big deal. The top is curved slightly. I actually calculated the precise coordinates of a long, narrow ellipse and drew it out this way, just as in Stickley's design. The legs are 2.5-inch square cherry, fashioned from some 12/4 stock, again, sawed from our lands. Let's see, what else? So I've got this finished now. My finishing strategy is to use white bond. It's all hand rubbed, Watco, Danish natural oil. Rubbed on with just a simple 3M very fine grit sanding sponge, right? Which will absorb the oil. 1 coat of that, wiped off good, let it dry for a day, and then put on several coats of the min wax or any white bond poly, using the same sanding sponge, and then rigorously wiping it off afterwards and putting on several coats. Sanding in between with 600 grit sandpaper on my random orbit, mostly discs, and then doing handwork in the corners of the panels. This is, again, it may look harder to make a panel bed like this, but it's actually much easier. Instead of cutting individual mortises and tenoning these stiles into the rails, head and foot, all you need to do is plow a groove the whole length of these things, about a 1/4 inch deep, a little over, top and bottom, and then in the side legs, and then set these panels in there. Then plow a dado in the same 1/2 inch. These panels are 1/2 inch thick. The butternut's solid. The cherry burl is thin veneer sliced on my bandsaw, glued to a white pine board, clear pine board substrate, which you could see if we looked at the back. So that's that. Now over here we have that's the footboard, the headboard. That is 34 inches tall. This is 43, I think, 44 inches tall. The headboard, it does not have just got the Watco on this, not the 1 coat of poly like the other one. The same thing though, 17-inch instead of 14-inch panels, made up of actually 6 book-matched burl. Here are the rails. These bed plants often use these old-fashioned bed bolts, square nut things with awkward old heads. I've any kind of this construction, it's much simpler to go with these hex-drive bolts, round head bolts, secured by a dowel nut in the rails, right? So the the bolt would slides through the end here, like thusly, through the leg, and then is captured in this hole. And all has a screw head in it, so it's very easy to remove. You just take your hex-drive ratchet attachment for your ratchet and put it in there, or even an impact driver, and you're good to go. So this is a queen size bed. I still need to mount little strips to hold the slats across the bed and the rails here. But otherwise, the construction is done, and this will be in use by the weekend, hopefully. So stay tuned. Okay, here we are with the bed assembled. I brought the headboard and footboard inside into our living room here, where we have a big space where I could assemble it. I've attached the rails, as you can see, bolted them on with the barrel nuts, or the dowel nuts rather. Screwed cleats, 1.5 cleats to the inside of the rails to support the slats. There's one slat in place, which would just be white ash boards. And I think, this is getting pretty close to being done. One thing you realize when you build a bed, queen size bed like this out of solid hardwood and heavy material, is that it is heavy, and it's huge once you finish it, 60 by 80. And that headboard weighs a lot, especially. I had difficulty in the shop maneuvering it to finish it finally once I got it all glued up and assembled. That's one reason I brought it in. We, of course, will have to take this back apart to move it upstairs to our bedroom, but it's good for now. I need to put a couple more coats of finish on it, and we're going to call this good. But these panels look pretty good to me, these burl panels in the center. I don't think you're going to be able to buy a bed on the market like this, which is always my idea of building things. I also kind of like this nice detail, these 1 3/4 solid cherry rails at the headboard and footboard. That should be very comfortable, right? Ease edge on your body and on your neck when you're reading, and yada yada yada. So this should be in use by the weekend, if not before. Let's call this a wrap.